Hello everyone, I am Giuliano, and today I have a very simple message for everyone. You don't need to be a polyglot. Yes, that's exactly what I mean. You don't need to be a polyglot. Well, it may sound a little bit contradictory for me to say that because I am a polyglot myself. I participate in the Polyglot Club of my city. I have already organized many polyglot meetings, picnics, and other kinds of events, and even a Polyglot Conference. So why would I say that? Well, because that's true. People don't need to be polyglots. And of course that there are many good reasons for people to learn languages. For example, when we travel to another country, it's much more interesting to be able to read things, speak to people, get to know them in their own language, and we are going to enjoy our traveling experience much better, right? And also we're going to have access to different kinds of materials, newspapers, TV shows, movies, etc., etc. And we're going to have fun doing that in the language that the material was produced. No one questions that. And that's also why I love languages, because I want to get to know different people and talk to them and have access to other things. I am totally in favor of polyglotism, that is, people learning many languages. But that's not completely necessary. There are some reasons for people to learn languages. For example, if they are going to live in another country, if they are going to work in a certain company, if they marry someone from another country, and many other reasons, to study abroad, etc., etc. But most people are not going to need to learn so many languages, like 5, 10, 15, 20 languages. That's completely unnecessary. For most people, one foreign language or 2 or 3 is completely enough. If you're going to live in Canada, for example, of course it's going to be very interesting for you to learn English and even French. If you're going to live in Germany, of course it is totally important and interesting for you to learn German. If you're going to live in Japan, I would advise you to learn Japanese, because you're going to be talking to people for months and years, every day of your life. You're going to be watching TV in that language. So it is completely advisable for you to learn the language of the country where you are in. Other cases would be, for example, if you work with tourism and you get clients from other countries, if you are a translator or an interpreter, those are very good reasons to learn other languages, right? But, for example, if you are just living your life wherever you are, and perhaps you need 2 or 3 languages, why would you bother to learn other 5 or 6 languages? Only if you are really interested in learning languages, if you are into that, if you are a nerd, let's say like this. If that's your hobby, okay, but you don't really need to become a polyglot. And I think that most people don't need and should not become polyglots, because they have other things to do, right? People are doctors, engineers, advertisers, actors, whatever profession, and they have to learn other things in order to be able to work in their field correctly. They don't need to learn Chinese just for the fun of it, or Thai, or Spanish. It really depends on where you are. If you are living in a place where many languages are spoken, for example in Switzerland, or if you are living in Canada, or I don't know, in Japan, perhaps China, then it would be very interesting for you to learn 2 or 3 other languages. But you don't need to do it. Learning a language takes a lot of time and effort, and you have to maintain the language. You have to keep contact with it throughout the years. Otherwise, you will end up forgetting many things. So if you are not a translator, if you are not living in another country, if you are not a tourist guide and working with languages, you don't need to learn 10 languages, 15 languages, 30 languages. Those people are simply crazy. People who learn 20, 30, 40 languages, they have nothing better to do in their lives. They are nerds. They are, okay, let's say polyglots that have fun with it. Okay, it's okay to have fun with different things if you are interested in that. But you could also be doing something else. You could be learning how to play the guitar, how to cook, and many other things. I remember that when I was in Vienna, Austria, learning German, I had a classmate from France, and this woman could only speak English and French, and she was living in Vienna for 3 years already at the time. And she was a French teacher. She worked in a French school, so she only needed to speak French all day long with everyone. But since she was living in Austria, it would be very interesting for her and important to learn German. And I think that she waited too much time to start learning languages, I mean German, only 3 years after having moved to Vienna. So in her case, of course, it's necessary to learn German, and even advisable, as I have said, but she doesn't need to learn Japanese or Portuguese, for example. So that's my message for today. You don't need to be a polyglot, just if you are really a fanatic, if you are really a person who loves to learn languages. But if you are not, it's okay for you to learn just 1 more language, or 2 more languages, or 3 more languages. And it depends on where you are, right? For example, I would say that English is very much interesting for everyone. And if you are living in Asia, perhaps Japanese and Chinese would be very interesting, because those are main countries, or whatever country you are living in. If you are in South America, of course, Spanish and Portuguese are very important. If you are in North America, English, Spanish in the case of Mexico, and French in the case of Canada. It depends on really where you are and who you are living with, if you have friends, family, etc. But you don't need to be a polyglot, and you can forget about that thing about learning 5, 10 languages. It's just not necessary at all. You will not even use all those languages in your life, right? Only if it's your hobby, then it's okay. In my case, I speak 5 languages so far, and I still intend to learn perhaps 3 more languages, because I love that. I am a translator and so on. But you don't need to be a polyglot. That's my message for today. I hope you enjoyed it, and see you next time. Bye.